Well, now, look, he's here. It's Gilbert O'Sullivan. If I give up the seat I've been saving to some elderly lady or man. How are you, Ray? All right?
Yeah, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again. I'm going to call you Gilbert throughout because that is obviously your professional name. So where have you been? What have you been doing? Where have you been all our lives? Come on, tell me. What you been up to, friend?
Working artist. I mean, this is the last time I met you.
Yeah.
Another album?
Yeah.
Tour. Just come back from Grimsby, Newcastle, Leeds, those kind of places. So I'm just a working artist.
Yeah.
So did you ever stop and take some time out?
In the profession I'm in and at the age I'm at, if you get off the treadmill, then I think you're lost. You're pretty much lost while you're on it at my age. But if you get off it, it's worse. So the important thing is to stay on the treadmill. Therefore, you can kind of keep focused that way.
When you first started out and wrote all of those lovely, delicious songs that we've been playing, what was your focus? Did you think, well, I'll just be a songwriter? Because it seemed to me that you didn't really want to perform and that you hid behind the image. Would that have been the truth, or am I way off?
Yeah, the original image allowed me to just sort of sit there at the piano and play the songs and stuff. And the writing was the key to everything I did. So I wanted to be a successful artist, particularly in England, because that's where I lived. But the image kind of helped me, because it's very difficult behind a piano, unless you're Jerry Lee and you put your foot on it and stuff. It's very difficult to do anything other than just sit there. It's quite static, you know.
Yeah.
Elton jumped around a bit and stuff. So the kind of image meant that people could look at you a bit odd and think, what the hell's going on here? So it kind of helped me in the beginning. Once that became established, then, you know, I'm a better performer now. I jump on the piano, so it's quite...
I know.
Where did that image come from initially, though? You know, the jumper and the cap
it's a
and the
Chaplin.
hairstyle?
No, it's a Chaplin, Buster Keaton thing. I used to really love the Chaplin season. I used to hire a Chaplin jacket. I didn't really wear the short trousers. I did those only in pictures, but I get sort of labelled with the short trousers. But it was fairly long trousers, Chaplin jacket, waistcoat.
And the press
school
always
tie and all
depicted
that
you, Gilbert, I think, as a very shy Irishman, which is really what you are. By the way, congratulations on Ireland.
They're doing all right. They're
doing all right.
Doing all right. Ireland and England are doing very well, touch wood. So.
Yeah, so I always think of you as a very, very shy, retiring type of fellow.
I'm not retiring. I'm based. A lot of people say they're basically shy, and when they step on the stage, it's a bit of a cliche. It's this thing about you're in front of thousands of people and you're quite sort of open and stuff, and yet if you meet any of the audience in the lift afterwards, you tend to sort of clam up. I'm a bit like that, but I like performing. I really enjoy performing.
I know you do. Yeah.
And I wouldn't do it. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't do it. The reason I didn't start off doing it was the danger that a lot of artists have fallen into. In other words, the first album syndrome. Suddenly what happens is that you become hugely successful with your first record, and then everybody wants you. All around the world, they want you to come over and do concerts and do TVs and stuff. So you spend the next year doing all that, and then suddenly you need your second album. Well, if you spent that following year doing nothing but touring and promotion and stuff, where's the time to write that second album? So the important thing was for me, and Gordon Mills was very good like this, God rest his soul, he allowed me just to write in that first year of success, which meant that, you know, I didn't go to Australia, I didn't go to Japan, I didn't go anywhere.
I like the quirkiness of your songs, and you know, my favourite song of yours ever, and I've had conversations with Gilbert over the phone sometimes, and I always say that Mr. Moody's Garden. Now, you probably remember writing Mr. Moody's Garden, but it always strikes me that some of the quirky songs that you wrote are inspired by perhaps the England of the 30s and 40s and not necessarily the Ireland of the last century.
Well, that's an interesting point, because the problem for me as an artist today is, as you know, when you're initially successful and you live in England, you're an English artist. The minute you're not successful, you're where you're from, where you're born. Right?
True, yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
So when I started off as a songwriter, I'm very English, because that's where all my writing tradition comes from. But I was born in Ireland, left Ireland when I was 7, so I've been brought up in Swindon. So therefore, while I was successful, I was an English artist. Now I'm not successful, I'm an Irish artist. Whereas in Ireland, they see me as a failed English artist. So I mean, I kind of sit between two stools. It doesn't bother me in the slightest, but it is interesting. As a lyricist, it's like Ray Davies, I see myself very much English in terms of what I write. And I don't like the idea of being a sort of an American type writer. I don't like the idea of writing about LA and stuff.
Yeah,
I quite like writing about Fulham and, you know.
And Swindon, obviously. As a Swindonian, you'll agree that the influence of Swindon has played a large...
It's a touchy subject to me, because we get knocked a lot in Swindon.
We do,
I defend Swindon.
You haven't done any songs about the excellent mini roundabouts, for example, in Swindon.
There isn't going to be one, Steve. There isn't going to...
He's trying to find the poignancy for it.
Or the GWR HQ.
Don't knock Swindon.
Let me just take a break. Oh, look, we must play. Look, we've got to play this new single of yours. Now, on Top of the Pops 2, we're playing the video, and Harry Hill seems to be you. Could you just talk us through this?
We asked Harry to do it because visually he's very interesting. I mean, as opposed to a comedian who might be funny but needs to say things.
Yeah, he's nuts.
And Harry was up for it, and he's just a very funny person, and he becomes me, basically.
Okay, well, let's...
No, he does. That's
and he does... He becomes the you of right after the short-haired period.
Yeah, well, we gave him an original sweater, so he's got the whole thing.
Okay, we're going to take a break and play it, and we'll be right back with Gilbert O'Sullivan. Gilbert O'Sullivan on Steve Wright in the afternoon, look. Here with Gilbert O'Sullivan. Well, that's that's going to be a hit. And how are you going to cope with that? You're going to have to hide away again, aren't you?
No, it's not going to be, but it's a good record. It's not going to be a hit. Being realistic, I am very realistic these days, but I really enjoy what I'm doing. There's no downers for me.
Yeah.
The idea of getting records out there and people playing it. I mean, I'm really happy with that. There's a real buzz about writing a song, making a record, getting it released, and not knowing what's going to happen to it, but being happy with it.
Would you want it to be a hit?
Of course, but I mean, I don't worry about that. If you worry about those things, you'll never write another song.
Yeah.
The way you write is you just get on with it.
I love the way you're just, because you must be absolutely living there on Jersey or wherever, you just must be loaded. You must have, so much money. Yeah, you're so...
You're so rude.
You're so... No, you are so passionate about what you do still.
I love it. Life After Radio 2, it's called.
Life during Radio 2.
During Radio 2.
Yeah. With you, but I think you know what I mean.
Yeah, we're going to Jersey later as well, yeah.
But do you enjoy going out, when you do your gigs now, do you enjoy going out on your own, or do you prefer to work with a band?
The London gig we did it at Ronnie Scott's, and we did Moody's Garden and stuff. The nice thing about doing a tour is I do it with two ways, with the band, which is quite heavy, or I do it lightly and I have two singers and a keyboard player. So we did it lightly because it's very intimate. It's a sort of one-to-one thing. So we did things like Moody's Garden for the first time. People like that song, and what's nice is that's going back 33 years or something.
Unbelievable, isn't it, really?
But even though you're singing about things that were relevant then because of the lyrical thing, because a lot of what I was singing about in that song refers to people like Don Partridge. Remember Don, at that time. So even with that in it, it still doesn't stop it being an interesting song to do.
Is an interesting song, in your view, one that we can remember 30 years later, or one that is of its time?
I don't think it matters, Steve. Again, you're into the analysis thing. As a listener, I would have a view on that when listening to other people's work. But I think as a writer, I haven't a clue.
Really?
Again, it's a kind of dangerous area. Don't get into that.
But do you listen to your own material?
But none of your songs. None of your songs.
A million years do I do that?
But none of your songs are forgettable. None of them.
No, that's not true.
Well, most of the songs. If you say Matrimony or We Will or Nothing Rhymed, virtually everybody listening of an age will be able to sing them.
I like them. I'm proud of them, but I don't think too much about it. I just get on with it and try to do the next one and stuff. That's the important thing for me. But I'm very happy, and I have to learn them when we tour. There's a couple of songs that I wanted to do this time that I couldn't do them because I couldn't remember how the chords went.
No. What is wrong with your hands?
You have to come and see me.
I will. What is wrong with your hands that you need to play the piano?
You've got to get in, it holds about 10 people. But, we'll work it out for you next time.
Why do you cut the piano with your hands like that?
It's an interesting style.
Yeah.
It's drums. It's drums. And when you work on your own, you create your own rhythm. So it's the left hand becomes the drum kit. I'm the Bruce Welch of the piano.
But how do you play a chord then?
Well, that's it. It's rhythm. I'm not that great a piano player, but I'm very good rhythmically. As I say, Bruce Welch is not Hank, but he's good rhythmically. So I'm the kind of Bruce Welch of the piano.
Did you have formal music training, or could you just play the piano from any age?
Like everybody, I had a few weeks lessons and stuff, and didn't like it and stuff. But I just, you just pick it up.
Would you... Or do you write songs in the style that you used to? And what do you say when you get pressure from record companies and or people to say, look, we want another Mr. Moody's Garden, or we want another Claire? Do you just say, well, look, that was then, this is now? Do you cut yourself off from that?
Yeah, I'm not interested in that. I've never followed that line of thinking. In other words, if you sort of look at my career, from the beginning, you'll see that the first hit was Nothing Rhymed. The second one should have been a ballad, which would be quite similar and would be just as big a hit. But it wasn't. It was a rock and roll thing called Underneath the Blanket Go, which is what it did. It kind of disappeared. Barely made the top 30.
Wasn't that a hit? I thought that was a hit.
It just made the top 30, but all the do merchants said, that's it. It's all over now. Your career's over. You're a one-hit wonder. You're finished. Well, I wasn't concerned at all. Gordon said, well, what have you got? So whatever I've got applies today. If you were working with me, if the three of you, we were in the studio together, we're going to make an album, you'd say, well, what have you got, Ray?
Well, let's make an album, because we do have... do you know, I was going to set up a keyboard for you today, but I thought...
Have you got, like, how much time do you have?
No, but I thought you'd be in a mood anyway. And then you'd say, oh, no, I can't play that, because that's like an organ, that's not a piano, but bring me a piano, you'd say, and then we wouldn't do it. But next time, will you come in and... Like, I'll put the piano in, you can play old songs and new songs. What do you think?
Why not?
Have you ever been tempted by writing film music?
No, although I'm heading towards Radio 3, aren't I? So I should be going into Glasgow's now, right?
Yeah.
I've gone from 1 to 2 and now I'm going to 3. I see that door.
Yeah.
But it's not a door. It's not a door I like. So no, I like songwriting. You know, we've just got Alone Again's just in this Stuart. What's this movie about a mouse?
Stuart Little 2, is it?
2 is out. So they're using Alone Again. Osmosis Jones used it. And so, you know, they can use the old songs if they want to and stuff. Though they can use, we did a new song for a commercial in Japan and stuff. So, I mean, that's a way of utilising songs in that kind of area.
Sure. Gilbert O'Sullivan's new single, Two's Company, 3 is Allowed, is released on June 17th. You have to see the... I think we've got it on Top of the Pops 2 either tonight. Is it tonight? I think we have it on Top of the Pops 2 tonight. If it's not tonight, it'll be next week. So you must check it out. It's very funny. Harry's good, and you're brilliant in it.
I'm a bit part player.
Well, you know, the sweeping up. I mean, if you're that good.
It's an important part.
And I'm a good sweeper.
You're a very good sweeper.
Excellent sweeper, excellent.
It came very naturally, I thought.
Yeah.
You don't know how good I am at home.
If you could have a look at the control room out there on the way out, that'd be great. Gilbert O'Sullivan's new single, Two's Company, 3 is Allowed, released on June 17th. The album, Irelish, is out now also, which I haven't even got a copy of yet, so if you could get one of your operatives to let me have one, I'd be deeply grateful. Gilbert O'Sullivan, everybody. It's sparky. It's always sparky with Gilbert. Gilbert O'Sullivan.
It's over now. You've had your fun. Get up them stairs. Go on quickly, don't run.